Welcome back to Investing Talk podcast. Today, we're focusing our energy on one of the most talked about, maybe polarizing names in tech right now, IONQ. This is a company right at the cutting edge of quantum computing. It's a field that screams, exponential potential, but also massive volatility. IONQ has seen just huge growth and frankly even sharper drops lately. So our mission today is to really analyze this and try to answer that one crucial question for you, the investor. Is now a good time to buy into this quantum computing leader? Hey, before we dive in, please take a second to subscribe, maybe like this discussion, and definitely have a comment below. If there's a specific company you want us to look into next, let us know down there.
Yeah, and that framing is spot on.
Yeah.
We're looking at a company in a field that's, well, it's highly specialized, super capital intensive, and really still pretty nascent. This is pure frontier tech we're talking about. So you can't just evaluate the stock using like standard PE ratios or anything like that. It's absolutely a high risk, high reward situation. Understanding the details of their technology lead is just as vital as looking hard at their balance sheet.
Okay, let's get into the exciting stuff first then, because honestly, if you just glance at the top line numbers, the bull case for IONQ seems almost blindingly clear. The sources we reviewed show they reported 2024 revenue of $43.07 million. Now, okay, that might not sound enormous compared to, say, a tech giant.
Right. In absolute terms, it's still relatively small.
But it represents an exceptional 95.4% increase over their 2023 revenue, which was around $22 million. We're talking nearly doubling revenue year over year.
That kind of growth. It really points towards pretty rapid market adoption for what they're offering for their quantum services. And what's really interesting here is the quality of that growth. This isn't just random revenue. It's coming from selling access to what many cite as the industry's best quantum hardware right now. IONQ is known for its best-in-class trapped ion quantum architecture and their proprietary error correction. Well, that's key.
Trapped ion, okay, break that down a bit. Why is that important?
So for the layperson, what that really means is that trapped ion technology is currently seen as providing the highest fidelity, or, put simply, the lowest error rate when computing. And that's arguably the single biggest hurdle in making quantum computing actually useful for real-world applications. That technical lead. That's their edge.
Ah, okay, so their advantage isn't just raw speed, it's about accuracy, getting the right answer.
Precisely. They're building trust with clients who need results they can, rely on. And they're not resting on their laurels either. Just recently, actually, October 21st, IONQ announced they achieved a new world record in quantum computing performance. This kind of consistent technical progress is what lets them command premium pricing and drives that really impressive revenue growth we just talked about.
And you can see how this tech leadership translates directly into strategic partnerships, right? Building walls around their business, essentially.
Yeah.
We see deep integrations with all the major cloud platforms, AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud. That accessibility is huge.
Absolutely. For enterprise clients, being on those platforms is critical.
Right. And combine that accessibility with strong partnerships they have with government agencies, Fortune 500 firms.
Yeah.
The sources call these sticky revenue streams. They're building an ecosystem.
That ecosystem point is vital, and now they're looking to export it aggressively. Take the October 20th partnership with Italy's National Strategy for Quantum Technology. They co-founded something called the Q Alliance there. It's a really clear signal.
Pushing into Europe.
Exactly. They're using these government initiatives to get a foothold, solidify their presence, and basically establish a global footprint much earlier than you might expect.
And it seems like this validation, both technical and strategic, is feeding back into how analysts see the stock. 10 major analysts currently have a consensus strong buy rating. That's pretty decisive.
It is. And the price targets reflect that optimism.
Yeah, the average 12-month target is sitting around $57.50, but the most bullish target, that one reaches $100.
$100 target.
Yeah.
Yeah, that implies truly massive, exponential upside potential from current levels. It's a big call.
And it's not just analysts, is it? Institutional money seems to be agreeing.
It does look that way. We're seeing rising ownership by large tech-focused funds, like ARK Invest, BlackRock, names like that. When you see institutional investors of that caliber increasing their positions, it sends a strong signal. It suggests they believe the long-term story, the tech roadmap, the revenue projections. They see it as legitimate, not just, speculative hype.
Okay, that growth narrative is powerful, undeniably. But there's always a but, right? The flip side of being on the bleeding edge of quantum is the sheer cost of staying there, which brings us, I suppose, to the elephant in the room, profitability. or lack thereof.
And this is where we need to inject some necessary caution. IONQ is, well, profoundly pre-profit. Their net income, it's significantly negative. We're talking minus $463.58 million on a trailing 12-month basis. TTM.
Minus $460 million. Wow.
And what's maybe more concerning, or at least worth noting, is that in 2024, their losses actually grew by 110% compared to the previous year, hitting minus $331.65 million for the year.
Hold on. Let me get this right. Revenue grew, what, 95%?
Roughly, yes.
But losses grew 110%. How does that square with the strong buy rating? Fundamentally, they're spending way more to make each dollar right now.
You've absolutely hit the nail on the head regarding the execution risk. That ballooning loss reflects ongoing, extremely heavy spending on R&D and capital expenditure. That's the price they have to pay to maintain that technical lead we discussed, that trapped ion advantage. It's expensive.
So the burn rate is significant.
Very. And it raises that critical question, can they keep this up? Especially when you've got giants like Google or IBM also working on quantum, backed by, practically bottomless resources. That's the long-term competitive threat.
That is the core risk. But, and this is where it gets really interesting, talking about their financial runway, why aren't these huge losses actually crippling the company? Why aren't they constantly having to sell more stock and dilute existing shareholders?
The balance sheet. It's exceptionally strong, surprisingly so for a company burning cash like this.
Because of that huge funding round? Right.
Exactly. On July 7th, 2025, they executed this landmark $1.0 billion equity offering. It came from Heights Capital Management. And this wasn't just some small funding top-up. The sources are clear. It was the largest single institutional common stock transaction in quantum computing history.
$1 billion.
$1 billion in one go.
The sheer size of that investment can't really be overstated. It did a couple of things. First, it massively validated their strategy and their team right in the face of those big competitors. Think about it. A major institutional investor committing $1 billion specifically to an independent quantum firm. That told the market IONQ is seen as a potentially viable long-term leader, maybe not just an eventual acquisition target.
And critically, it gave them cash. Lots of cash.
Unparalleled financial resilience, really. As of March 31st, 2025, their pro forma cash position was roughly $1.68 billion. And importantly, negligible debt. That is a massive war chest.
So essentially, they brought themselves time to execute their plan without constantly worrying about the next funding round. They avoided what's called a dilutive financing crunch. Precisely. A dilutive crunch is when a company keeps having to issue new shares, often at lower prices, just to keep the lights on.
Yeah.
It punishes existing shareholders badly. With $1.68 billion in the bank, IONQ has, well, ample operational runway, potentially years. They can fund their R&D, build out their systems, and hopefully reach profitability without needing to tap the equity markets again anytime soon. It insulates them to a degree from short-term market jitters or macroeconomic headwinds affecting funding availability.
Okay, so they have the tech lead, they have the cash runway. Let's talk timing. Because getting into a stock this volatile, timing feels pretty crucial. And the stock has been volatile. It saw this huge swing recently, dropped from a high of $82 back on October 13th, just a few weeks ago, down to around $63 where it sits now.
Yeah, $82 to $63, what, less than 2 weeks? That's a sharp correction.
Tells you something about the stock.
It tells you two main things, I think. First, you've got big players who are in early, taking substantial profits off the table after that massive run-up. Understandable. Second, it confirms this stock is highly sensitive to sentiment. Every bit of news, technical update, partnership rumor, it causes big swings. But this pullback, coming after such a major run, does position the current $63 level as potentially an interesting entry point for investors who are bullish on that long-term fundamental story we've been discussing, assuming they believe it's still intact, of course.
And looking at the charts, the technical picture, what are the indicators telling us about the sort of medium-term trend, ignoring the day-to-day noise?
Well, despite that recent sharp drop, the momentum indicators actually paint a surprisingly positive picture for the medium term. The stock is still trading above both its 50-day and its 200-day simple moving averages. That's $56.73 and $40.27 respectively.
And being above those key averages usually signals?
It generally signals that the underlying medium-term uptrend is still holding. It suggests this recent drop might be more of a healthy consolidation or correction rather than the start of a major reversal. And another thing, the Relative Strength Index, the RSI, it's sitting around 54.92. Pretty neutral.
Which is good.
Potentially good, yeah. It suggests there's room for the stock to appreciate from here without immediately hitting that overbought territory, which can sometimes precede a pullback. But we absolutely have to stress volatility is still very high. The 30-day measure is around 12.1%. So expect bumps.
Okay, so for someone considering an entry, maybe around these levels, what are the key triggers or catalysts we need to be watching for in the immediate future, say the next 3 months?
The biggest one, no question, is the upcoming Q3 2025 earnings release that's currently scheduled for November 7th, 2025. It's going to be a really high-stakes report. Analysts are expecting a pretty significant step up, not just in reported revenue for Q3, but critically in forward bookings.
Meaning new contracts signed for future work?
Exactly. That's a key indicator of future revenue growth and customer confidence. A strong beat on both revenue and bookings, especially after that recent world record announcement, yeah, that could easily spark a sharp rally.
And beyond the earnings numbers themselves, anything else around that time?
Definitely watch the days immediately after the earnings release. IONQ often issues follow-up press releases. Sometimes they announce new partnerships or contracts that maybe got finalized right before the reporting cutoff. Also, maybe less direct but still relevant, keep an eye on ETF rebalancing periods. There's one coming up around November 30th, 2025.
How does that affect things?
Well, if IONQ gets included in new ETFs or existing ones increase their weighting, those funds have to buy shares. That institutional buying, especially during a defined rebalancing window, can amplify volatility, potentially pushing the price up or down if they get removed or wait to decrease, though that seems less likely right now.
Okay, and finally, we should probably touch on the speculative buzz. Always take these with a big grain of salt, folks, but rumors do move this stock.
Indeed. And you hear a few recurring ones. There's persistent speculation about potential large government contracts, maybe from the US or even the EU. Contracts that would, frankly, dwarf their current annual revenue. You also hear whispers about a new hardware generation potentially launching ahead of schedule, which would obviously reinforce that technical lead.
Right.
And lastly, there are these sort of ever-present rumors about a deeper partnership with one of the big global cloud providers, something beyond just being available on their platform.
Which would be huge for customer access.
Absolutely. It could further lock out smaller quantum competitors. Now, again, these are just rumors, speculation, but if any one of them were confirmed, that would likely be a very powerful catalyst for the stock price. So trying to pull all this together, yeah, it's a complex picture, isn't it? Our overall assessment, though, definitely leans bullish, but with a significant asterisk for that volatility. We'll probably assign it an overall bullish rating of, say, 8.5 out of 10. You've got a hyper-growth revenue, the expanding customer base, that unique technical leadership. It really does position IONQ as a leader in the quantum space. So I think it could appeal to two types of investors, maybe tactical traders looking to play that Q4 catalyst window we talked about, particularly on the earnings news, and also, of course, long-term holders who are willing to ride out the volatility for potentially massive, truly exponential upside as this whole quantum sector eventually matures over years, maybe decades.
But let's just quickly hammer home those primary risks one more time, because they are real. First, you're exposed to extreme sector volatility. The stock moves on sentiment, on news, not just fundamentals right now. It's not a sleep well at night utility stock.
Not at all.
Second, that competitive risk from big tech. Google, IBM, maybe others. They have deep pockets. They could eventually catch up or just outspend IONQ on R&D, even with that billion-dollar war chest.
That threat is always there, yes.
And third, just broader macroeconomic factors. A recession, rising interest rates, that could compress the valuation multiples for all high-growth, non-profitable tech stocks, including IONQ.
Absolutely. Those are the key risks to keep firmly in mind. Though, again, that $1.68 billion in cash does mitigate the immediate financial dangers significantly.
All right, so here's a final thought, maybe something provocative for you, the listener, to mull over. IONQ has secured this massive funding, almost $1.7 billion, with virtually no debt. They've publicly stated that international expansion is a core priority for 2026. So given their strong technical lead right now, how quickly can IONQ strategically use that huge cash advantage, that war chest, to really penetrate new markets? Think Asia, think the EU before its larger, deep-pocketed tech competitors manage to close the gap on their technical performance. Can they build a global moat fast enough? Something to think about. Thank you for joining us for this look at IONQ. We'll catch you next time on Investing Talk Podcast.